Hello, and welcome to The Bard's Truth with your host, the Green Bard. This is Dany's Dragon Bonds, Volume 3, Part 3, The Heady Sacking of Slavers, covering Dany's defeat of Yunkai. A Storm of Swords, Daenerys 4. Liking Karth and Astapor, curiosity over dragons comprises their first mention in this chapter. Dany uses this curiosity to meet with the Yunkish and their sellswords on her terms. It seems that the dragon is sly as well as fearsome. Before this meeting, though, she interacts with her advisors and the dragons. The first interaction shows Drogon and Rhaegal sleeping, possibly mirroring Dany's calm. Viserys, ever nervous, is perched and watching. I do imagine that Drogon is also listening, though. I have a feeling that the Black Dragon is always aware of what is going on in his surroundings.
Yunkai will have war, Dany told Whitebeard inside the pavilion. Irri and Jiki had covered the floor with carpets, while Missandei lit a stick of incense to sweeten the dusty air. Drogon and Rhaegal were asleep atop some cushions, curled about each other, but Viserion perched on the edge of her empty bath. Missandei, what language will these Yunkai speak? Valyrian?
Later, Viserion moves to Dany's side, seemingly craving attention, even though it's well established that he's too big to perch atop her anymore. Like Viserys, Viserion is immature.
Wise? Dany sat cross-legged on a cushion, and Viserion spread his white and gold wings and flapped to her side. We shall see how wise they are, she said, as she scratched the dragon's scaly head behind the horns.
The only dragon mention when she meets the sellswords is that she uses her moniker, Mother of Dragons, when angered by the Stormcrow captain, Prendel Gazan. With the Yunkish envoy, things are different. Dany mislikes him from the start. He's a slaver, comparing him to Krasnys, even as she recalls Drogon burning off the man's face.
The man on the white camel named himself Grazdan Mo Eraz. Lean and hard, he had a white smile, such as Krasnys had worn until Drogon burned off his face.
Not long after, he draws her ire, and she uses the Dracarys command against him. Note that it is Drogon who is obedient to the command, answering with flame. If he partially shares Dany's mind, that would go a long way toward explaining why he was the Johnny on the spot here. He would already be mirroring Dany's emotions about the man being like Krasnys, who he also burned. The others are not pleased as well, hissing and snapping. They may mirror Dany as well, or possibly mirror Drogon.
Am I? Dany shrugged and said, Dracarys. The dragons answered. Rhaegal hissed and smoked. Viserion snapped and Drogon spat swirling red-black flame. It touched the drape of Grazdan's tokar, and the silk caught in half a heartbeat. Golden marks spilled across the carpets as the envoy stumbled over the chest, shouting curses and beating at his arm until Whitebeard flung a flagon of water over him to douse the flames. You swore I should have safe conduct, the Yunkish envoy wailed. Do all the Yunkai whine so over a singed tokar? I shall buy you a new one if you deliver up your slaves within 3 days. Elsewhere, Drogon shall give you a warmer kiss. She wrinkled her nose. You've soiled yourself. Take your gold and go, and see that the wise masters hear my message.
Later he answers,
Do you think it is so hard to kill a dragon?
With that ominous reminder of the mortality of dragons, he makes Dany's threat personal, in her will ironclad. The next time dragons come up in the text, she has them all about her, as she gives the command to attack the Second Sons. This is a shrewd show of the trappings of power, but I also think that the courage and the ferocity that she gets from her dragon identity plays into this scene. Next, when Daario Naharis is brought to her, her identity as a dragon is invoked again by the captain, while simultaneously the dragons are savagely eating the other captain's decapitated heads. Dany interestingly notes that it doesn't seem to affect Daario. That's probably a clue to the man's savage nature. Little.
Daario upended the sack, and the heads of Salor the Bald and Prendel Gazan spilled out upon her carpets. My gifts to the Dragon Queen. Viserion sniffed the blood leaking from Prendal's neck, and let loose a gout of flame that took the dead man full in the face, blackening and blistering his bloodless cheeks. Drogon and Rhaegal stirred at the smell of roasted meat.
Later.
None other. If her dragons discomforted Daario Naharis, he hid it well. For all the mind he paid them, they might have been 3 kittens playing with a mouse.
Later.
She pointed to the lumps of blackened flesh the dragons were consuming, bite by bloody bite. I would call that proof of his sincerity. Daario Naharis, have your storm crows ready to strike the Yunkish rear when my attack begins.
The next interaction is quite deep. She plays with the dragons while waiting for the battle to end. Interestingly, her transformation in embracing her dragon identity is complete. She now uses "Wake the Dragon" for her own anger. She also pours her heart out to them about her own mortality, and that they are the children she'll never have. Then, at the end, she plays directly with Drogon, and in the same paragraph mentions how she'll become a rider. He seems to sense her feelings, clear indication of their minds mingling. The other 2 are not mentioned in the paragraph, clear foreshadowing that he will be her wings. The evidence mounts, pun intended.
When he was gone, Dany threw herself down on her pillows beside her dragons. She had not meant to be so sharp with Ser Jorah, but his endless suspicion had finally awoken her dragon. He will forgive me, she told herself. I am his liege. Dany found herself wondering whether he was right about Daario. She felt very lonely all of a sudden. Mirri Maz Dur had promised that she would never bear a living child. House Targaryen will end with me. That made her sad. You must be my children, she told the dragons. My 3 fierce children. Arstan says dragons live longer than men, so you will go on after I am dead. Drogon looped his neck around to nip at her hand. His teeth were very sharp, but he never broke her skin when they played like this. Dany laughed and rolled him back and forth until he roared, his tail lashing like a whip. It is longer than it was, she saw, and tomorrow it will be longer still. They grow quickly now, and when they are grown I shall have my wings. Mounted on a dragon, she could lead her own men into battle, as she had in Astapor, but as yet they were still too small to bear her weight.
The next interaction is clear proof that the dragons, like direwolves, have a pretty good sense of impending danger, sensing approaching horses in this case. The simultaneous aspect of their movements makes me wonder again whether there is a pack bond, similar to the wolves, in these hatchlings. I also wonder if Dany's immediate understanding that it was horses approaching is also an indication of mind mingling with Drogon. Belwas, supposedly guarding, did not seem to register the activity so soon, and he was outside, which should make it much easier for him to hear. Did Dany know it was horses because she subconsciously heard with Drogon's ears? Did dragons even have ears? Or did Drogon hear and recognize it was horses, and that is why it popped into her head?
Arstan chuckled.
Robert liked songs that made him laugh. The bawdier, the better. He only sang when he was drunk, and then it was like to be a cask of ale, or 54 tons, or the Bear and the Maiden Fair. Robert was much as one.
Her dragons lifted their heads and roared. Horses! Dany leapt to her feet, clutching the lion pelt. Outside, she heard Belwas bellow something, and then other voices, and the sound of many horses. Irri, go see who! The tent flap pushed open, and Ser Jorah Mormont entered. He was dusty and spattered with blood, but otherwise none the worse for battle. The exile knight went to one knee before Dany and said, Your Grace, I bring you victory. The Stormcrows turned their cloaks, the slaves broke, and the second sons were too drunk to fight, just as you said. 200 dead, Yunkai for the most part. Their slaves threw down their spears and ran, and their sellswords yielded. We have several thousand captives.
The announcement of her victory in Yunkai, in no small measure due to her shrewd uses of power, again accompanies her moniker, Mother of Dragons. This could be called wisdom. which is rare in one so young. Could some of this wisdom be the result of having a dragon bonded to her? One from a 200-year-old egg? Could that egg have been awake and listening since it left Rhaena Targaryen so long ago? Or did Drogon only come back to life in the dream in A Game of Thrones, Daenerys 2? That's all for now. See you next time for Marine. Thanks to all the terrific artists whose work is featured on this video. Thanks especially to those in my family who helped in this series so far. If you enjoy this content, you can also consider supporting us on Patreon.